Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
All right, I want to finish up with the Donald Trump analysis. Then we're going to come back on the latest on Jade Helm, as that kicked off yesterday, and the hit pieces in the news. Then we're going to get into the latest on Planned Parenthood, the new Joint Strike Fighter that's cost $400 billion and is already 15 years old. Total boondoggle. That is coming up. And so much more. New immigration wave coming. Census Bureau predicts 1.24 million more immigrants will enter the U.S. in 2015 and get everything for free. But I got to hand it to Latin American immigrants. They get free stuff and go get a job on top of it. So then you can actually live a pretty good life. Oh, boy. That's what Walmart for about 3 years recommends their employees. Oh, we pay you below the poverty line so you can get food stamps and assistance, which is a subsidy to Walmart. But folks don't get when they go to Walmart why all the other jobs go away, and it's because it's a leveraged takeover. But I guess all the Chinese slave goods were good while they lasted, weren't they? So I think former New Mexico governor has come out with, we have a term in Texas, I think other places, chicken, S-H, bleep T. And I'm sorry to have to be a little profane and not use the King's English there, but that's why you have those words. Sometimes they're descriptive. Donald Trump is appealing to racist voters, says former New Mexico Governor Gary Johnson. What a load of manure. And here's that clip.
He is appealing to a segment that I'll just label racist, and it exists, and it's out there. And
oh my God.
You know what? I don't want to have anything to do with it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. It embarrasses me. And like I say, I think that the electorate will paint the entire Republican Party with a broad brush as a result of Trump, and it won't be a positive.
And because he's deported the Mexicans, they'll have to paint their own fence.
Gee, and he employs tens of thousands of people, and he's in the service industry. How many of those are immigrants? How many of those?
All right, let's stop right there. They sell this idea, and I don't dislike Johnson. I like a lot of his ideas, but he is the type of libertarian that just says get rid of all the borders. Hey, like you've been in the studio, Johnson, you can't do it when they can have babies for free and get welfare. We're going bankrupt. There's 7 billion, basically, third world people. The country is already in trouble. And the statistics are there that of the illegal aliens from all over the world, whether they're from Russia, Germany, or Mexico, that a lot of criminals come here and change their names and then commit crimes. I mean, that's a 101. We are the dumping ground for criminals. I mean, next he'll say Australia wasn't colonized as a penal colony. We're like a penal colony of Latin America now. And let's go to the other clip that I was mentioning where Donald Trump says it like it is and says bomb ISIS oil fields. He said this a week ago. And they go, how preposterous. Next he's going to say you need a scuba tank at 100 feet underwater, that you're not a fish. Here's a clip.
The situation with ISIS has to be dealt firmly and strongly. When you have people being beheaded, I would love not to be over there. That's not our fight. That's other people's fight.
He was against the Iraq War.
That's whatever you want to call it. Religious wars. I would do things that would be so tough that I don't even know if they'd be around to come to the table.
What sort of things, though? I mean,
I would take away their wealth. I would take away the oil.
But wouldn't you be destroying the wealth of Iraq?
No, let me. There is no Iraq. There is no Iraq. Their leaders are corrupt. Excuse me, there are no Iraqis. They're broken up into so many different factions in Iraq.
You don't think bombing Iraqi oil fields, which are now in the control of ISIS, but bombing Iraqi oil fields is going to anger huge numbers of people?
I would bomb the hell out of those oil fields. I wouldn't send many troops because you won't need them by the time.
That's right. The troops aren't allowed to target anything. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now into the second hour of this Thursday July 16th, 2015 worldwide transmission. And throughout this hour, I'm going to be covering a lot of news and getting your take on all of it. Dr. Jerome Corsi is going to be joining us to cover the economic worldwide meltdown, the latest on ISIS. He knows Donald Trump. He's going to give us his take on him, on whether he can be trusted or not, or whether he's a Democratic Party operative. This is all coming up. Riding shotgun with us today is former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura. We'll be talking about the latest things going on with him and also other news items. So it's always fun to have him ride shotgun with us. I also appear once a month or so on his TV program to give commentary as well. So I could just say the governor's a commentator here on the broadcast. We're honored to have him. Before we get into the latest on the attack on Jesse Ventura that affects free speech in this country, I mentioned I would get to this in the second hour. There are 3 different articles today. There's actually 5 of them, but 3 I'm going to cover and get Jesse's take on, because he's in the same boat where they assassinate your character before they kill you. Solon says Alex Jones' anti-PC rants could get gay people murdered. And then they don't show where I said anything against gay people. I'm a libertarian. I just said, why is it the new national obsession? I mean, you know, what did Caitlyn Jenner do? It just gets a little weird that that's all you ever hear. It's just, I don't think our national mascot thought it was a bald eagle, not a guy in a dress. I mean, I don't care. It's just like, I mean, force-fed this stuff. So then they say I'm going to have gay people murdered, and they don't show proof. Another one, Top Secret Writer, says Alex Jones' Marine Toys for Tots clip proves he's a moron. And it says basically our reporters out there, not our reporter, it's a guy saying I respect the Marines, but this is propaganda to recruit kids. Well, that's not even us. And that my voiceover then talks bad about the Marines and says they're the enemy. And the video doesn't even say that. And it's not me on the video, and there is no voiceover. Here's another one. There's 5 of these. This is the New York Times. A report on InfoWars website operated by Alex Jones, libertarian-leaning talk show host from Texas, suggested the name Jade Helm was an acronym for Homeland Eradication of Local Militias. And then it goes on to say that we say imminent martial law is coming and that the troops are going to kill people. This is dangerous. They don't link to us saying this. We never said this. We said it's ongoing conditioning for a police state, the militaries and Stars and Stripes everywhere admitting they're training for domestic operations. I mean, Jesse Ventura's TV show covered this 3 years ago and got banned. The show on the threat fusion centers in FEMA, which is now admitted. Army.mil admits they prepared, quote, re-education camps. That's a Paul Watson article. And then there's 2 more stories today where they say I did something and show no proof. And used to this happen once a month. It's now every day. And I don't even watch a lot of mainstream TV, but anytime they mention Jesse Ventura, I've been on the elliptical like 2 weeks ago, and just randomly, yeah, Jesse Ventura, the guy that's, you know, suing widows, and the guy that's glad troops are dead is appealing, and then actually they're appealing. I mean, here's what I'm saying. I've been doing this 20 years. Jesse Ventura's been a talk show host, mayor, governor for longer than that, and a TV entertainer, movie star longer. I've never seen levels of lying at this level. And whether it's Ron Paul or Rand Paul or Jesse Ventura or Alex Jones, and even though a Jesse Ventura and a Rand Paul are different on some issues, when the enemy media is assassinating someone, you better believe they're good. Now, they're not really assassinating Trump, in my view. They're just building him up. But what he said is true. A lot of criminals do come over here. A lot of criminals run from the U.S. to Mexico. But the point is, they're giving him attention, not just assassinating and then shutting up. They're building him up for some other reason. We'll get Ventura's take on that as well and get the latest on his appeal, where 33 media giants, you know, News Corp, the New York Times, Time Warner, are suing him in court to overturn his libel, defamation, unjust enrichment that didn't affect Chris Kyle or his wife. All lies. Hundreds of millions have been made. They've made tens of millions. Ventura filed suit after this happened. They wouldn't back off. But before Kyle was killed in Dallas, tragically, and I see this meme. He's the guy that sued a widow. No, he didn't. He sued Chris Kyle. Chris Kyle died. But see, they want to kill Jesse Ventura's name and have him lay down and crawl into a political grave. Well, you know what? I'm not crawling in a grave either, but, Governor, we're in the same boat here. Why do you think they're intensifying these lies so bad that I, quote, say Marines are the enemy? They've got talk show hosts saying all over the country locally, so I know it's a talking point that I want cops dead when I'm the opposite, and they know cops listen to this show, and I'm trying to stop a race war, civil war. I mean, why do you think they're doing this so intensely right now?
Well, obviously, you and I have had an effect on them. Otherwise, they'd ignore us, Alex. If we weren't dangerous to them, they would ignore us. But clearly, we present a danger to whatever their agenda is or whatever they're trying to accomplish. You and I are flies in the ointment. And so they will choose different methods of dealing with us, whatever that method may be. I mean, I'm listening to what you're talking about and the attacks you're getting now, and I fully have all the sympathy in the world for you because I've been there, done that, and for 3.5 years in my court case over the American Sniper book, which the chapter written about me was a complete fabricated lie. And we proved it in court to a jury. We proved it to a federal judge, and apparently the media doesn't. They want to be able to libel or slander anybody and make it a business that they'll see. They're in the entertainment business also too, and so they want to be able to make profits. And then, they'll pay a little off for slander, but they'll make 10 times more. And they don't want this unjust enrichment, which has been the law since 1960. They want it changed so that they can profit and the person hurt cannot get any of those profits from them. And that'll make it a business. You know, it's much like when Howard Stern was on regular radio and he would get fined $10,000 by the FCC. Well, the station was happy to pay it because in return, Howard would make them $100,000. So it would be, and what business wouldn't pay out 10 to get 90? Nobody wouldn't do that. And that's what the media is trying to do in overthrowing my case. They want to make it so that you, if you are slandered, will never get enough money to make it worthwhile to go to court. Because court it's unbelievably expensive. It's unbelievably drawn out. I mean, my case should have been done with 2 years ago.
Oh, listen, I mean, I can't imagine what you've gone through. And again, it's not about us. It's about the truth. This affects everybody, but it's a microcosm. I have a pretty good friend who barely knew Chris Kyle, been out shooting with him a few times here in Texas. And just over my relationship with you and defending you, he's like, you know what, Alex, I just really don't want to hang out anymore. And let's still be friends, but not friends. I mean, that's cult-like, where people buy into a lie and then buy into the fact that you either choose one side or the other, when a jury found, very hard to prove, libel, as you know, and slander, and you proved it. I mean, you know, Chris Kyle lied.
It was obvious. I mean, we had photographs of me out there. I had no marks on me. We had eyewitnesses that I sat with all night long who were there before I got there, and I left before they left. And nothing happened. I went to a big graduation next day. I had no marks on me. I had nothing. And the whole thing, what was interesting in the case, get this, how they keep the truth out. I wasn't allowed to say that I'm on warfarin, blood thinners. All I could say was I was on blood thinning medication. I was not allowed to say what it was.
But you do not drink. How long has it been since you've had a drink?
Since 2002. 2002, 2003, right around in there would be the last time. That's when they put me on blood thinners for life. And you cannot drink alcohol and take the medication because it throws your levels off. And see, they didn't know I was on blood thinners, but yet I wasn't allowed to say in court what type of medication I was on.
But I have sat many times with you in a restaurant late at night after a shoot or whatever, on an airplane and you're drinking water and I'm having a beer. I mean, you do not drink. I mean, I've witnessed it from...
not at all. And get this, Kyle's budget that they had $1,000 to spend in that bar that night on booze. $1,000. Now that buys a lot of booze.
Especially when you're getting Navy SEAL prices.
Sure, you're in McPee's, which is the Navy SEAL bar, and you're buying kegs and all that. They're giving discounts on it there because you're the team guys. So these guys were all drunk. They were ridiculously drunk, and it showed up in the testimony in court. It got embarrassing for me as a former Navy SEAL to sit there and watch these guys try to cover for their buddy. And it was so blatantly obvious. Not one witness testified they heard me say anything derogatory, and not one witness testified that they saw me get hit. So in essence, none of them should have even been allowed to testify, but they were allowed to because they were all hearsay. They didn't see anything or hear anything. They had nothing to testify to. But they still got up on the stand and attempted because he was their buddy and they're standing. And if you'll die for someone, you'll certainly, lie for them.
Absolutely. When we come back, I want to shift gears and get into the current state of the world, what you think is most important front and center news-wise. Jesse Ventura is our guest. I'm Alex Jones. We're back live. Jesse Ventura wanted to say something to the audience. Then we're going to shift gears into the news. A police officer has been shot in Chattanooga, Tennessee, U.S. Naval Recruiting Building. A police officer was shot just in the last hour at a Navy recruitment building in Chattanooga, Tennessee. NBC affiliate WRCB reported it was not clear whether the gunman was on the loose. And see, in the future, they'll just say that I'm happy that happened. I'm not happy that happened, but they would just say, why is Alex Jones happy? That's an example of media lying that we're seeing happening. The U.S. Navy confirmed a shooting at one of its buildings and said officers, including ATF agents, were investigating the scene. They call it a horrific incident, but had no immediate details. So we'll track that as it unfolds. That's from the Associated Press. And now two. This just broke. It's up on Drudge. We'll get it on Infowars.com. 2 military facilities attacked in Tennessee. At least 2 military facilities in Tennessee were attacked in shootings Thursday. That sounds like ISIS, folks, including one in the Navy recruitment building, officials said. Chattanooga Mayor Andy Burke said at the news conference that it was a very terrible situation. Police have set up a command post. U.S. Navy said in a tweet that there was a shooting at Navy recruitment building in Chattanooga. Law enforcement officials told recruiters at a facility 7 miles away that Old Lee Highway had also been attacked by a shooter in a car. Could have been the same person. Then it might not be terrorism. We will continue to track this as it unfolds here at Infowars.com. This is a short segment, long segment coming up. I want people to be able to call in and talk to Jesse Ventura. The toll-free number is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. Specific questions or comments for Jesse Ventura. But in the time we have, you just said something that made a lot of sense about the Mexico situation during the break and some of the freeloading that is going on. I don't think it's racist to say there's freeloading going on, but at the same time, it certainly does get inflamed by the media. So elaborate on where you stand on the Donald Trump situation.
Well, first of all, if Mexicans come up here, illegals, and get on our welfare system, if indeed they do that, then blame the people who created a system that allows that to happen, which is your Democrats and Republicans. If they are able to do that, and I don't know if they are or not, but if they're able to do that, blame the system that allows it to happen instead of blaming the poor person. Second of all, I get irritated because I'm off the grid down there. I live 900 miles in Mexico. And whenever somebody with the stature of Donald Trump makes a statement like he has, believe me, we as Americans down there feel the repercussions of that. All of a sudden, Mexican people stare at us. All of a sudden, hassles start happening. Maybe the federales pull you over more, whatever it might be. But it does nobody any good. Because what Donald Trump is saying does nothing but anger Mexican criminals in Mexico just like there are criminals here. We ought to talk about the fact we have more people in jail than any other country in the world.
Sure.
So therefore, don't we have the most criminals?
Well, Jesse, I mean, I agree with your point that we shouldn't blame the TSA. We should blame our Congress for doing it. And then Congress sits around criticizing the TSA when they shut it up and control it. So I totally agree with you. I get your point. That said, I don't trust Donald Trump because he supported assault weapons bans, gave money to Hillary Clinton. But I've actually watched his full speeches, and he said they're not sending their good people that have money in many cases that are illegals. He says a lot of them are criminals fleeing justice. Then the media said Donald Trump says Mexicans are crooks. So I think some of that is the media spinning things to make it worse.
Well, that may be true, too, because, you know, as we both know, the media's in the entertainment business, and the more entertainment and spin they can throw on anything sells copy. You know? Look at the trash they give us on TV and make us focus on things that are completely irrelevant.
I agree, but just real quick, you personally have seen a backlash in the last month and a half from this Trump thing?
Have I? Well, have I personally, to me, a backlash? No, other than people know that I know Donald, and they'll ask me, and I just say, look, I don't answer for Donald, but I think what he's saying is utterly preposterous and stupid. I said that, you know, to state what he states, and I said, I don't think I'd care to, you know, to have a president that would say things like that about people of another country. You know, that's not very good diplomacy, in my opinion.
No, I hear your point overall. The problem is you're in a nice area of the Baja. A lot of Mexico has collapsed, and so that is a larger problem. I wish Mexico well, but we'll be right back with Jesse Ventura, your phone calls, and we're going to cover the waterfront straight ahead. We'll also talk about his new TV show. We're going to be going back to your phone calls here in a minute. Steve, Amicus, Karen, Mike, Laura, and others to talk to former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura. You can follow him on Facebook and Twitter. GovJVentura on Twitter. Aura.tv/offthegrid. Political scientist, expert on financial collapses, and more. Dr. Jerome Corsi will be joining us in the last 30 minutes of the transmission. We're going to go back to Jesse Ventura here in just a moment because he does want to thank the audience. He was telling me, and I forgot to let him do that. New article on Infowars.com we're going to be getting into. Once again, Prince Philip demonstrates his hatred of humanity. And he said 4 times in newspaper interviews that we need to wipe out 80% of the world population with a bioweapon, or that he'd like to come back as a virus to cull the human population 80%. He's now made a new statement, the Duke of Edinburgh. So while everybody's busy hating the Confederate flag all day, because I told you it wouldn't end with the Redskins, now they want to blow up Mount Rushmore. And I get people's points, but it's just never going to end. The real Nazi fascists are running around right in front of us and being worshipped by tabloid television. That's coming up. Briefly, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to give you a third-party review. We have these linked to some of the biggest third-party review sites out there with a 5.0 rating, with thousands of ratings for InfoWarsLife.com. Temple Builder 79, just one of the latest reviews from Tennessee. He says, I've been taking X2, that's pure, real nascent iodine, for 2 weeks. I normally wake up not wanting to hear my alarm clock. Now I get up 15 minutes before it goes off and get aggravated when my alarm clock for going off when I'm in the shower. My wife is more full of life. I have seen a big difference in her attitude towards projects around the house. 2 thumbs up. We will definitely be trying other products. I normally use supplements and have lately stopped all my workout supplements to try the InfoWars Life product line exclusively. No other brand will be used. We'll be making more reviews as I progress. Bottom line, yes, I would recommend this to a friend. We're linked to major, highly respected third-party review sites. You can go read it for yourself. No one went out and found drilled from the earth pure iodine. You take the stuff that's produced in our labs here in the U.S., and it turns into gas on top of a stove. You put it on a 100-degree stove top, it turns into purple gas. I mean, that's how pure it is. And your body's full of fluoride and bromine and bromide that fill the glands, make you sluggish. You see thyroid problems off the chart. The warning here is I felt like crap 2 weeks into it for about a week. Not too bad, but felt like I was detoxing. That's why I've lost so much weight. I'm still got another 20 pounds to lose, but I've lost 60-plus pounds the last few years. And it's been InfoWarsHealth.com products, Beyond Tangy Tangerine. It's been some of the other stuff, but Super Male Vitality, Survival Shield, it's all natural. The Super Male Vitality is not testosterone mimickers. It just goes in and gets your glands to start producing like you're supposed to. Men have sperm counts down almost 90% what they were in the 50s. Testosterone for a 40-year-old man, on average, look it up, is about half what it used to be. So you don't need to take testosterone, in my view, personal view. You just need to get your own body producing what you're supposed to have. And that's what I've done, and it's dramatic. We're going to sell out of X2 the next week. We're going to sell out of Super Male the next week, and it'll be a while till we have X2, only about a month or so or less till we have Super Male and Super Female, but those are selling out. Prostagard, that has the saw palmetto and the lycopene and 8 other ingredients, that was sold out for 2.5 months. We ordered a bunch of it. It's back in. InfoWarsLife.com. InfoWarsStore.com is the big blanket site. And there's free shipping in the month of July. Never been a better time to try these products. And what do you lose? You're supporting the InfoWar that supports everybody else who's promoting freedom and promoting stuff outside the box. So I want to go to your phone calls and get into Iran. Jesse Ventura wants to talk about that. I do too. Get into Jade Helm that just kicked off yesterday and so much more. But you can also call toll-free if you'd like to order any of the products, 888-253-3139. And the mailing address is on the website as well. But I can give that to folks because I never seem to give the mailing address out so that people can mail order as well. So the P.O. Box is on the website, P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas 78760. P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas 78760. And listen, this is the house the people built. Old, young, black, white, Hispanic, liberal, conservative, people that are outside the box, know we're being lied to. You have funded us buying the high-quality products, so we don't have to depend exclusively on sponsors. We depend about 60% on our own funding, 40% on sponsorship. And that way I don't have to compromise, don't have to be under the control of sponsors. We're moving away from sponsors entirely, is my goal, so that we can build a true independent media operation where the buck stops with me and we promote things that I know are good. So thank you all. You are the InfoWar, buying war bonds when you shop with the good guys at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsHealth.com for the longevity line. You can get free shipping there when you sign up. And you can get auto ship, and you can get sign up for $10, be a distributor, and get up to 30% off at InfoWarsHealth.com. Now, enough from me. Jesse Ventura, you wanted to finish up speaking about 33 media organizations lining up against you. We posted the article at InfoWars.com with your latest video. I want to say congratulations. This is the skinniest I've ever seen you. You have really trimmed down, and the camera puts 10 pounds on you. This is amazing. Jesse Ventura, will you stand with me against big media? See the video, see the article at InfoWars.com right now. Don't let the establishment take away your rights. You've got a call to arms up there, and I know you had some words for our audience, Governor.
Well, first of all, my diet's even easier than yours, Alex. I'd eat anything, but I only drink water and work out.
Yeah, you call it the drink water diet. Tell us about that.
Oh, no, the only liquids I consume is water. It's a simple thing. It's back in the old days of bodybuilding. Back when the early days, they would always tell you, if you're going to get your calories from what you eat, not from what you drink. And if you simply drink water, it eliminates so many calories to lose weight. That's the only thing I've done when you remarked on how thin and good, and then I work out hard. You know, you got to exercise, so you train hard. I eat anything. Heck, the other night, I'll eat pizza, I'll eat anything. But if you simply drink water, that'll be enough.
I think this is the skinniest I've ever seen you, even when you were...
I'm the weight I was when I got out of the United States Navy right now. I'm down to 230.
Wow. And you're a big guy.
Well, 6'4". So, I'm the weight I was when I got out of the United States Navy, because I'd been pumping iron for about 2 years, and I'd bulked up from 212 when I got out of buds, and I probably put on another 18 pounds pumping iron and getting older. You know, I was then 22 and a half years old. I was filling out. But enough of that. First of all, I want to thank, if I can for a moment, the people that have sent in to my post office box. The letters have been phenomenal. Even what's touching me more than the financial help is the little notes and things that people send with it. It's given me the will and the desire to keep the fight going. It's giving me to know that there are the people out there, the silent majority is out there, and it's giving me the will to continue the fight. And so I want to thank everybody on behalf of me and my family for that, and I will forever be indebted as such. But going to Iran, let me just state this, Alex. If I was an Iranian, I wouldn't like us either.
Well, break down your view on the Iran situation.
Well, let's look at Iran. Way back, they had an elected president, elected by their people, and the only thing he wanted to do was nationalize the oil. Well, that's something you don't do. Talk to the late Hugo Chavez. Well, you can't anymore. But if you're an elected president in a foreign country and you decide to nationalize your oil, you will incur the wrath of the United States government and military, probably. And that's what happened in Iran. They had an elected president. We led a coup d'etat with the CIA, overthrew the elected president, and put in the Shah, who was a brutal dictator. Operation
Ajax, 53. They did it with a false flag operation.
Whatever. But the point is, we overturned an elected president in that country and put in a dictator who was one of our puppets. And that went on for 20-some years until Iran finally overthrew the Shah, and you got what you got today in there. But the point is, if I were an Iranian, I wouldn't like us either. Imagine in the United States, it seems to me we did that to Britain and called the Revolutionary War, didn't we?
Well, I'll tell you,
a foreign country in our country dictating to us what would happen. Well, imagine if that happened today.
I agree with you.
For that, of course not.
Well, let me give folks the rest of the story on Iran. Anybody can look this up. It's truly sick. Then the Shah started wanting to build reactors, even though he was a bad guy, and had the Savak and all those guys torturing people. Then he started wanting to build his country up, so they basically took him out. He died of cancer in 2 weeks there in England. And then magically they fly in the Ayatollah Khomeini out of Paris and let him get in and then do a secret deal with the CIA to give him weapons. The true sickening thing is our criminal government helped put radical Islamists in as a way to curse Iran with a nasty political regime, just like we're putting ISIS and al-Qaeda in control of Libya, Syria, and other areas. What is your view on how nakedly they're openly funding ISIS and then claiming they're fighting them?
Well, I'll tell you how I feel about it all. In this next presidential election, if I'm not involved in it, I'm normally not a one-issue person, Alex. Normally I look at the big picture and I make a decision that way. But in this 2016 election, I will only support candidate or will vote for a candidate who will get us militarily completely out of the Middle East, let the Middle East do unto the Middle East whatever they want to do unto themselves. We're not going to be party to it anymore. We're getting the hell out like Ronald Reagan got the hell out of Lebanon when our Marines were hit with the truck bomb over there. He didn't go to war. He got the hell out of there. And that's who I'm going to vote for. And right now, there's only two candidates that I know of that are espousing that position, and that's Rand Paul and Bernie Sanders.
That's right, and the media is really lined up against Rand Paul, who was the leader until about a month ago.
Well, they're lined up against Bernie, too, and Bernie's drawing 12,000, 15,000 people everywhere he goes.
Well, he says a lot of great stuff against the big banks and the bailouts. The problem is socialism doesn't work. I don't like it.
Well, that's true, Alex, and you can take that, but you got to remember this. Neither does pure capitalism. You have to have a balance of both. We've been able to see that. You see that pure socialism don't work. The Soviet Union, they fell apart. You also see that pure capitalism unabated don't work. 2008, right here in our own country. What you've got to have, Alex, is a balance of both.
Well, I mean, I understand if you're super wealthy, you can take care of poor people and stuff, and that's fine. That's the welfare clause. But this is corporate welfare was the 2008 bailout. I don't think that was capitalism. So see how they've scapegoated.
It was capitalism running amok with their handcuffs off. They took away all the regulations that ran Wall Street, and they let pure Wall Street capitalists do whatever the hell they felt like doing. And look at the result of it. It bankrupted our country damn near.
I agree. I want to go to some calls.
They robbed us blind, and none of them went to jail. None of them.
And Eric Holder's gone to work at the same law firm that legalizes it all. It's truly amazing. Let's go ahead and go to Karen in Colorado. You're on the air with Jesse Ventura.
Hey, it's Jesse. Alex, thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Sure, go ahead.
Mr. Ventura, my husband served 21 or so years in the military. He was stationed over after the Bosnia-Herzegovina conflict, I suppose you could call it. He called me frantic, and he had been interrogated. And he never could fully divulge to me exactly what happened. But one of the things that he said to me was, well, I guess my brother's not my keeper anymore. So with all of the attacks against you, I went through Fort Carson yesterday, just kind of curious to see what's going on with the Jade Helm 15 and how things are changing. Went by the 168 motor pool.
Sure. I mean, you're throwing out a lot of stuff, ma'am. I appreciate your call, and we are tracking it. There's been 2 attacks in Tennessee, shooting attacks on military bases. At least one person's been shot, and we're going to follow that and see if that is indeed an ISIS attack or something. But I think, here's the deal. Al-Qaeda was completely synthetic, made up, in my view. The problem with ISIS is it's a couple 100,000 people they've allowed to be recruited. The West is using it as a Saudi Arabian proxy army. And so where do you think this is going, Governor Ventura? Because you were saying off-air earlier, the real issue is criminals from around the world are coming up through Mexico. So why did Trump make it about Mexicans?
Yeah, I mean, the point is most of the immigration coming through our southern border are not Mexicans. They're coming from Central America because of the wars and things that have been fought there. A lot of them are children, because they don't have parents anymore. They're all dead. And they're trying to get here, they're trying to get anywhere. But that aside, to me, this whole thing, ISIS wouldn't even exist today if we hadn't invaded Iraq to begin with. Our policy in the Middle East has been disastrous. We've spent $1.7 trillion in the war on terror since 9/11, and what the hell do we have to show for it? Nothing.
All right, let's get another question, and we'll get the answer after the break. Mike in North Carolina, go ahead.
Yeah, Governor Ventura, I wonder if you have any advice for people that are in the military today, the men and women. What would you advise for them to do if they should receive an illegal order? And also, I was wondering if you'd had a chance to read the book Methodical Illusion by Rebecca Roth.
Answer that first. No, I have not. Second of all, my advice to anyone in the military is remember this. When you went into the military, you raised your hand, and you took an oath to protect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Always remember that was your oath. That's what you swore to do. Protect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And if they're asking you to do things that fall and then violate the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, then they're asking you to break the oath that you took when you enlisted in the United States military. You took that oath, so did I, so did every veteran in this country. You took an oath to defend the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
That's a great answer, Mike. I skipped the network break, so I'm going to allow you a comeback on that. But I loved listener Chuck and guest Chuck Norris's response to this, who's Mr. Military. His brother died in Special Forces over in Vietnam. He was a military policeman himself. Chuck Norris came out, and they said, oh, Chuck Norris is anti-military now, and the Democrats are fundraising on that. How ridiculous. It's not the military we don't trust. It's that those that are leading them, commanding them, it's political. We know it's in Northcom documents, it's in Stars and Stripes, that they want to have domestic operations. Chuck Norris said it's good to question your government. I mean, that's patriotic, isn't it, Jesse?
Absolutely. And remember this, the knuckle draggers, the guys who are actually out in the field doing it, they cannot question anything. They're given orders, and they're required to carry out their mission.
They need us to question for them and watch their back.
It is our job as citizens to question what we're doing with our young men that are serving and wearing the uniform. And it's patriotic. Don't let anybody tell you different. If you stand up against a war of putting our men and women in danger, that is not an act of treason, it's an act of patriotism.
Well, I agree with you, and they don't have their rights to question. They need us to protect them. What do you make of the fact that it's been a year now, admittedly, where they put people on don't treat list at the VA that have operable conditions, and they use a IBM Watson computer. They go, it's okay, the computer said don't give them treatment. So they program the computers. Remember, IBM was using the Holocaust to deny care.
Well, nothing surprises me. Once they're finished with you, when you serve in the military, you believe, here's another, I'm coming out with a new book of American conspiracies, Alex, dealing with our POW MIA. When you enlist, they put into your head that no matter what, if you're in a combat zone and you're left behind, our government will do everything and anything to get you back. Baloney. And I show that in my next book. That if you become a political liability, forget it. They ain't going to do nothing to bring you home. And people need to know that and go in with a clear mind about that when you join the military, that that's a bunch of hogwash, that they're going to do anything and everything to get you home.
Well,
if you become a political liability, because, Scott Spiker, they named a base after him. He was alive for over 10 years in Iraq. And they didn't care because Dick Cheney at the time was the Secretary of Defense in the first Gulf War in 91, and Cheney declared him dead. So it was politically embarrassing. And they left that guy over there for 10 years until he finally did die.
Absolutely. They use the honor of the military and the people that actually do the fighting, who do have courage, as reflected glory, stolen glory, whoring them out for themselves, a bunch of chicken hawks like Dick Cheney. It's truly, truly sickening.
Yes, it is. It's horrible. And people, guys that go, when you go in to serve your country, don't go in blind. Understand what you may be asked to do. And as that earlier caller, always remember you take an oath to protect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
Mike, anything else? The caller from North Carolina that asked the question?
Yeah, thank you for your service, Governor. Please read the book, Methodical Illusion by Rebecca Raw. Thank you.
All right, good plug.
Thank you for your service.
All right, who's up next here, Harmon? Laura in Missouri, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex and Jesse, thank you so much for letting me in. I'm very concerned about some things that we've been learning this week, and I was wondering what you all have heard about it, or if you have. They're talking about a large shipment of these portable morgues being sent to Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky.
Who's talking about it?
And it's been online. We've seen it for the past couple days.
Okay, I'll look into it, but I mean, there's constant rumors. I'm not saying this is a rumor, but I mean, listen, Northcom admits they're preparing for mass casualty operations. They admit they've ordered tens of millions of body bags. They admit there's a huge gear up for collapse. Look at what's happening in China, in Greece. It's in the mainstream news that elites are getting armored redoubts. That's a great question in general. With Northcom saying they're preparing to, quote, stabilize the U.S., what do you think of the world economy and China and Greece and capital controls and all this creepy stuff that's happening?
Are you asking me, Alex?
Yes, sir.
Well, to me, the whole idea of all this debt is going to come home to roost. Everybody's in debt to everybody. When you look at our national debt, it's astounding. When a child is born today and already is $50,000 in the hole and won't even work for another 18 years. So the Dems and Repubs have created, and whoever, a debtor society of doing everything on debt. It's interesting because I was brought up and my mom controlled the finances. We got a new car every 4 years. She traded in the old one and paid cash. My mother never had a car payment in her life because she had a different, after living through the Depression, she didn't get debt and didn't live with debt. Today, we have a society that's built around everyone living in debt, making you subservient and making you, in its own way, a slave. And
people act like it's like free money to get a loan. I mean, I don't operate that way either. People look at me weird and go, you could borrow tens of millions, do it. I'm like, no, I'm not going to. That's just not how we operate. We're trying to build something truly sustainable here. I want to jam in one more call. John in Alabama. Quick question for Jesse Ventura.
Well, actually, Alex, it's not a question, but I could make it a question for Mr. Ventura. Mr. Ventura, what are your thoughts on this Operation Jade Helm? I mean, I've been following it briefly, and then my father, who travels a lot, has seen Jade Helm, or what he swears is Jade Helm vehicles everywhere. And
all right, let me stop you there. The governor's got to leave in a minute. I'm going to come back to you.
I got to tell you, I'm ignorant to this. What is this about?
Well, it's a complex issue, but they're having military drills all the time. They announced it. They misrepresented it to say that we say it's martial law. We didn't say that. And then now there is military equipment and all sorts of activity everywhere. So we're not sure exactly what it is, Governor. It's a mystery.
Well, you know, I've always felt that when the defense bill allowed that amendment that Levin and McCain put on, that said that the United
Hold on,
States
70 seconds. I got to come back to you. I got to go to break. 70 seconds, Jesse. Don't hang up. We'll come back and finish up in 70 seconds. All right, Jesse Ventura got cut off. We're talking to John. Maybe have time to go to Dion and Eric before he goes. We got 5 minutes in this segment. Then I will break down the latest on Jade Helm after Governor Ventura leaves us. Governor, you were making a great point. It's in the defense budget since 2007 and subsequent ones to get rid of posse comitatus. It's in the Army Times. I mean, they're admitting there's already been a takeover. So we're not saying this is an imminent takeover. They've already gotten rid of posse comitatus. Elaborate on that.